Good morning, students. Say your prayer. Thank you. நான் ஒரு நல்லாசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். நான் ஒரு நல்லாசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். நான் ஒரு நல்லாசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். Okay, students, take your social science book. Take page number 16. So today we will see the Egyptian civilization. So in our previous class we have discussed about what is civilization, then the four major civilization. So what are the concept? So what was a civilized society look like? So civilization means nothing but advanced organized way of life. So initially humans were hunter gatherers and they formed the Neolithic society. So they were using the stones. So they were the Stone Age people. But now the humans began to settle in a particular place and they led an organized way of life. So new buildings emerged, new techniques were introduced. So they began to settle an organized way of life, that is called a civilization. So there are many civilizations that developed in the ancient period. So among them four were major. So they were Egyptian, Mesopotamian, Chinese and the Indus Valley civilization. So in today's class we will discuss about the Egyptian civilization. So where is Egypt? What was their civilization? So what was their contribution? We will discuss in today's class. So one of the oldest civilization, Egyptian civilization, is known for its monumental architecture, agriculture, art, science and craft at very early age. So Egypt, which is known for its pyramid, so monumental architecture, then agriculture work, then art, science and craft, so at very early age itself. So where is Egypt located? So Egypt is located in the northeast corner of African continent. So you can see in this picture, Africa continent map. So Egypt, so the red color, Egypt, it is in the northeast corner. So it was bounded by Red Sea on the east. So between Africa and Arabia, so Saudi Arabia. So that cement color is there, no? Country, that is Saudi Arabia. So in between Egypt and Arabia, that is towards the east of Egypt was Red Sea, and in the northern region it was the Mediterranean Sea. So Egypt was bounded by Red Sea in the east, then Mediterranean Sea in the north. So Egypt is irrigated mainly by the river Nile. So river Nile, so it is the lengthiest river in the world. So Egypt was irrigated by the river Nile, which originates in Lake Victoria in the south. So in the south of Egypt, in Lake Victoria, the river Nile originates and flows into Mediterranean Sea, which is in the north. That is, the flow of river Nile is from south to north. So the river Nile flows into Mediterranean Sea. So apart from the region of river Nile, so the remaining region of Egypt was desert. So both sides of the river Nile was desert. So deserts were seen on the both sides of the river Nile. So Egyptian civilization depended only upon the flow of river Nile. So Egyptian civilization completely depend on the flow of river Nile. So Egypt was called as gift of Nile. So since the Egyptian civilization completely depends on the flow of river Nile, Egypt was called as gift of Nile by the Greek historian Herodotus. So he was called as father of history. So he told Egypt as the gift of Nile. So apart from this, so Nile served as a means of transport. So river Nile supported agriculture. Then apart from this, it served as a means of transport. So Egypt was called as gift of Nile. So because Egyptian civilization depended completely upon the flow of river Nile, so that's why it was called as gift of Nile by the Greek historian Herodotus. So Greek means a person who belongs to a country called as Greece. So Nile Valley is very rich and fertile. So Nile Valley is very rich and fertile because the river deposits fresh alluvium every year. Yeah, so Nile Valley is rich and fertile. Why means because the river deposits fresh alluvial soil every year. So this alluvium is nurtured agriculture. So nurtured means to encourage something to develop. Yeah, so that is the alluvial soil which was deposited by the river Nile every year, developed agriculture and helped to produce surplus of food grains, leading to the development of Egyptian civilization. Yeah, so the alluvium, so which was developed, so which developed agriculture in and around the Nile Valley region, helped to produce surplus food grains, which will lead to the development of Egyptian civilization. Yeah, so dry regions on both the sides of the Nile remain desert. So apart from the river Nile region, so the remaining region of Egypt was desert. So that's why they told Egypt as the gift of Nile. Yeah, so Nile Valley is rich in fertile soil. Yeah, so Nile Valley is very rich and is consists of fertile soil. Yeah, so because the Nile river deposits fresh alluvium every year. So this alluvium nurtured, that is this alluvium, so help to develop agriculture and thus produce surplus of food grains, lead to the development of Egyptian civilization. So the dry regions on both sides of the river Nile, however, remain desert. Pharaoh's society and administration. Yeah, so what is Pharaoh? Who was a Pharaoh? So Egyptian king was called as Pharaoh. Yeah, so according to Egyptian civilization, Egyptian king was called as Pharaoh. So the people of Egypt treated Pharaoh as a divine form. So divine form means a form like God. Yeah, so that is he was divine. He has no death. Yeah. So under the Pharaoh there are hierarchy of officials. So hierarchy means a system, especially in a society or an organization in which people are organized from lowest to highest. Yeah, so hierarchy means an organized system, that is in which the people are arranged from lower to higher. Okay, so under the Pharaoh, the hierarchy of officials, so the viziers, the governors of provinces, local mayors and the tax collectors are there. Yeah, so under the Pharaoh there are hierarchy of officials. Yeah, so it includes viziers, the governors of provinces, local mayors and the tax collectors. So first the Pharaoh, the king. So next to him was viziers, the governors of the provinces, the local mayors and the tax collectors. Yeah, so viziers means, so they were the high officials who administered the territories under the direction of pharaohs. Yeah, so viziers means, so they were the high officials who administered the territories under the direction of pharaohs. Yeah, so Egyptian king was called as Pharaoh. So people treated Pharaoh as a divine form. Yeah, so under the Pharaoh there was the hierarchy of officials. Yeah, so that is the arrangement of officers. Yeah, so from high to low. So first Pharaoh, then vizier, then governor of provinces, then the local mayors, then the tax collectors. So viziers were nothing but the administrative officers who administer the territories under the direct control of pharaohs. The entire social system was supported by the work and production of artisans. So the entire social system was supported by the work and production of artisans, which includes stone cutters. So stone cutter means, so those who cut the stones. Yeah, so pyramid. So it was built with the help of stones only. Yeah, so here the stone cutters were needed. Then masons. So those who involved in construction work. So masons. Yeah. Then potters. So those who deal with the pot. Yeah, so that is the clay object. Then carpenters. So carpenters. Those who deal with the wood objects. Yeah. Then coppersmith. So those who made things made of copper. Then goldsmith. So those who made things or ornaments made of gold. Then peasants and workers. Yeah, so the entire social system consists of workers. So like the stone cutters, masons, potters, carpenters, coppersmith and goldsmiths, peasants and workers. Yeah. So the land was under the control of king only. Okay. So land belonged to the king and was assigned to the officials. So the king divided the land among the officials. Yeah. So slavery was not common. So slaves were not common, but captives were used as slaves. So captive means, so those who were captured during war. So when Egypt defeated any country in the war means, so they captured the soldiers as slaves. So slavery was not common, but captives were used as slaves. So the entire social system was supported by the work and production of artisans, which includes stone cutters, masons, potters, carpenters, coppersmith, goldsmith, peasant and workers. The land belonged to the king and was assigned to the officials. Okay, so Egyptians believed in life after death. So they believed there is a life after death. So they preserved the dead body. So the Egyptians believed the life after death. Therefore they preserved the dead body. So the art of preserving dead body is called as mummification. So the art of preserving the dead body is known as mummification. Then the pyramids and the tomb. So tomb means, what do you mean by tomb? A large place built of stone which is used to bury the dead person. Tomb means nothing but a place, a building which is constructed with the help of stone in order to bury the dead person. So pyramids or tombs were built to preserve the body of pharaohs. Okay, so Egyptians believed in life after death. Okay, so they preserved the dead body. The process of, that is the art of preserving the dead body, is called as mummification. So the pyramids and the tombs were built to preserve the body of pharaohs. Okay, so Egypt, so where it is located? To the northeast of Africa. So it was bounded by two seas. So what are they? Red Sea in the east, then Mediterranean Sea in the north. Then which is the major river of Egypt? River Nile. So how was Egypt called as? Gift of Nile. So who called Egypt as gift of Nile? The Greek historian Herodotus. Then who? How was the Egyptian king known as? Pharaoh. So now we will see various pyramids and the process of mummification. So Egyptian civilization depended only upon the flow of river Nile. So Egyptian civilization completely depend on the flow of river Nile. So Egypt was called as gift of Nile. So since the Egyptian civilization completely depends on the flow of river Nile, Egypt was called as gift of Nile by the Greek historian Herodotus. So he was called as father of history. So he told Egypt as the gift of Nile. So apart from this, so Nile served as a means of transport. So river Nile supported agriculture. Then apart from this, it served as a means of transport. So Egypt was called as gift of Nile. So because Egyptian civilization depended completely upon the flow of river Nile, so that's why it was called as gift of Nile by the Greek historian Herodotus. So Greek means, so a person who belongs to a country called as Greece. Okay, So first, what is meant by mummification? So what is the process involved? So the preserved dead body is called as mummy. So what is meant by mummy? So the preserved dead body is called the mummy. So the Egyptians had the tradition of preserving the dead bodies using a natron salt. So the Egyptians had the tradition. So tradition means, so which was followed for many years. So the Egyptians had the tradition of preserving the dead bodies using natron salt. So this natron salt is the combination of sodium carbonate and sodium bicarbonate. So this process, so this natron salt is a combination of sodium carbonate and sodium bicarbonate. So the preservation process is called as mummification. So after 40 days, when the salt absorbed all the moisture, so the dead body was preserved with the natron salt. So after 40 days, this salt absorbed all the moisture. The body was filled with sawdust and wrapped with strips of linen cloth. So you can see in this picture. So the right side. So you can see. So the dead body was wrapped with strips of linen cloth and covered with a fabric. So then the body was stored in a stone coffin. So then the body was placed in a stone coffin, which was called as sarcophagus. So the dead body was placed in a stone coffin, so which was called as sarcophagus. So this is the process of mummification. So they used the natron salt, combination of sodium carbonate and sodium bicarbonate. After 40 days, so the salt absorb all the moisture. Then they remove the some parts, internal parts from the dead body, and they wrapped the dead body with linen cloth, and covered with a fabric. Then they placed the dead body in a stone coffin. So the stone coffin was filled with sawdust, so with dust. So that stone coffin was called as sarcophagus. So this is the mummification of dead body. This is the process of mummification. So the mummies of Egypt, you can see in this picture. Okay students, in today's class we have discussed about the location of Egypt. So where Egypt is located, then why Egypt was called as the gift of river Nile. Okay, also we discuss about the mummification. So why the Egyptians preserved the dead body, especially they preserved the dead body of their king. So their king was called as Pharaoh. So why they preserved the dead body and how they preserved the dead body. So this process was called as mummification. Okay, so we have discussed the process of mummification. Okay, in tomorrow's class we will see the life. So we will see the civilization of Egypt in detail. Okay, so we will discuss about the agriculture activity, the trade activity, art and architecture, the religious faith, philosophy, the writing system, etc. in detail in tomorrow's class. Okay, take your book. So for textbook reading, take page number 16. Just read the geography. Okay, so there is one paragraph. So both in page number 16 and 17. So read that geography. Okay, then for homework, so take page number 18. So the box, mummies of Egypt. So just to write that. So starting from the mummies of Egypt, write this point. So the preserved dead body is called the mummy. The Egyptians had the tradition of preserving their dead bodies using natron salt, a combination of sodium carbonate and sodium bicarbonate. The preservation process is called mummification. So what is mummification means? So you have to write these 3 points. So that's enough. So write this as your homework. It's not a book by question. So just to write it. So as your homework. Okay, so if you have any doubt, contact me. So have a nice day. Thank you.